Welcome back, Soulful Society, to Soulful Wellness,
the multi-generational podcast brought to you by two functional imperfectionists
and certified coaches
who deliver tips to live your most authentic and balanced life.
Thanks for joining us for another week of wellness goodness. We so appreciate you. If you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that follow button, and please leave us a rating and review. We love reading your reviews, and it also helps more people find us. So thank you in advance. Today's topic of authenticity came from multiple different avenues of inspiration, really. I was thinking a lot about social media and wellness chicks on TikTok or Instagram and the way they present themselves, and was really thinking about, are people really showing up authentically? And how are we responding to that? Are we trying to emulate other people, which it's fine to have inspiration, but are we taking that too far? Are we losing ourselves? And it also came from an awesome clip from Brené Brown, who is an author and researcher and speaker. She studies shame and vulnerability. And we just wanted to show you a brief clip to kick off today's episode.
Shocked to learn in the research that the opposite of belonging is fitting in. Because fitting in is assessing a group of people and thinking, who do I need to be? What do I need to say? What do I need to wear? How do I need to act? And changing who you are. And true belonging never asks us to change who we are. It demands that we be who we are. Because if we fit in because how we've changed ourselves, that's not belonging. That's not belonging, because you betrayed yourself for other people. And that's not sustainable.
That's Brené Brown for us.
I love her.
I know, dropping the pearls of wisdom and making us think.
Her book, Daring Greatly, is fabulous. If you need a book rec, check that out.
Let's unpack this.
Yeah. I just found that so interesting because the first time I watched that, I had no idea there was a difference between fitting in and belonging.
Not to mention having those as two opposite ends of a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So the opposite of belonging is fitting in. And it makes your brain go, wait, what? True belonging never asks us to betray ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it makes me think about, like, if you're living your authentic self, if you're living uniquely, the right people will stick around. The right people that'll feed your soul and that are good for you will make you feel like you belong and love you for you. Because we don't really, why would we want to be around people who like us because we are like them?
Mm-hmm. Right. There's a mirror for that. If that's what they want out of interactions with others or a relationship, we should be able to be ourselves and have others want to be in our company, not because they see a reflection of themselves per se, but because they like who they are in our presence. It feels good to be themselves around us. It should feel light. It should feel easy. It ideally shouldn't feel like a lot of work. That's a big sign for me. If it feels like more work to get ready to be in the company of certain people, that's a sign to myself that I'm morphing. I'm making an effort to blend, to work to fit in, as opposed to getting the luxury of just showing up as me, which when I do that doesn't feel like a lot of work. It feels lighter. It feels easier.
Definitely. I like that comparison. You can really tap into your authenticity by being aware of how you're feeling. Do you feel at ease? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel happy? Or are your thoughts spiralizing? Are you feeling anxious? Are you hyper aware of what you look like or anything like that? You know, how you're acting. Are you masking your real personality by being quiet?
Yes. Are you censoring yourself? when your brain wants to respond a certain way and you have to censor it and say, oh, wait, not the right audience. Don't share that thought with the person. Don't share that idea with the person. They won't be receptive to it.
There's a difference between fitting in and, let's say, assimilation than situational appropriateness.
Yes.
It's not like you're going to go inside a temple or church and scream at the top of your lungs, "It's me!"
Right.
Hello, everyone.
This is where I think it can get a little confusing. You know that person, that out there person who their whole explanation is, that's me. Take me or leave me. That's who I am. Their rationale is, I'm being authentically me. I'm not censoring myself. Good for your own well-being on your wellness journey. Show up as authentically you, but while being socially aware and socially appropriate to that situation. So for example, going into a temple or a church, you are going to be authentically you in a different way than you demonstrate being authentically you at an outdoor sporting event. It's the same you. It's not that you're censoring yourself in these quieter, more reserved situations. You're just tuning in and being appropriate to the setting you, authentic you, is in.
Yeah. And let's talk about this idea of inspiration when it comes to just growth and even in your wellness journey. It's okay to look up to someone, but when you're watching that TikTok, when you're reading that blog, does it resonate with you to wake up at 5 a.m. or not? Do you think, oh, that really interests me. I think that could be fun. I would have the whole morning to myself. Or are you mimicking? Are you assimilating? Are you wanting to grow into a version of yourself thinking that by copying this person and the way they do things, that that'll get you there?
Being a version of that person is not the same thing as being authentically you. You have to be a version of you. And there are many yous within you. Short of making it sound like we all have multiple personality disorders, think about it. There's professional you. Hopefully still you're able, if you're in the right work situation, to show up as authentically you. But it's the work version of you. And if you are in your family situation, maybe your mom you, or wife you, or daughter or son you, but it's still you, not trying to be your sibling, not trying to be someone you saw on social media or television, a version of that person. It's the version of you. So that begs the question, how do you get clear on who authentic you is so that you can live in alignment with being authentically you? And the answer is
reflection. We offer the idea to put this in a journal, if that resonates. I am a visual learner, so I love a good visual representation. So for example, putting down your values, your likes, your interests, and the qualities of your higher self. Maybe putting them in bubble letters or shapes or squares or just whatever resonates with you on the page and coming back to that. So that way you can tap into, am I being my authentic self, or am I being the person that I want to grow into? Or am I assimilating or trying to be like other people? Thinking back to that page. Design your own worksheet.
I'm going to bold, if you can bold spoken words, which you can now because I'm about to do it. I'm going to bold where you said core values. Your core values. What is most important to you? How do you define personal success? What does that look like? What does it feel like? If you can put on paper, it could be a word splash. It could be an image. We take our coaching clients in our first full coaching session, we take them on a guided imagery journey to meet their future self. That's basically a visual representation of their core values come to life in their body in the future. It's their destination.
Mm-hmm.
So the clearer you can get on that,
mm-hmm.
the easier and smoother it's going to be to live in alignment with those core values. And that is your true self.
Mm-hmm.
Authentic you.
Mm-hmm. You can keep coming back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps you assess situations, people that you're spending time with. You know, does this really resonate with me, or am I just people pleasing?
And when you can get clear on what it means to be you, to speak in accordance with, act in accordance with your core values, you will start to notice when things feel lighter, feel
mm-hmm.
easier, less effort into decision making.
Mm-hmm.
You'll know you're in those moments living your authentic self.
Yes.
The flip side, which is just as valuable in getting yourself information, is when your body sends you those signals through anxiety, increased heart rate,
Intrusive thoughts,
that tickly, queasy feeling in your stomach. Those are signs that in that moment, you are not acting in the interest of your authentic self.
And those signs are equally as important, like you just said.
Mm-hmm.
It's all getting you in alignment. The clearer you are and the more observant you become, the quicker you'll get to your authentic self and the easier things will be. Things will just fall into place. And if we take the example of your wellness journey and you're watching these videos of this woman's routine where she's getting up at 5 and she's making a green smoothie and she's doing workout with resistance bands, does that align with you? Or is that what you think you should be doing? Are you shoulding yourself? Are you comparing yourself to someone else? You could take inspiration, that's fine. But at the end of the day, if you reflect on your core values and that worksheet that you design, you can think, actually, I'm good with getting up at 7. And you know what? I really like yoga. Things will start to flow easier and things won't be as forced. And that's when you're living in true alignment. That's when the joy comes in. That's when the stress relief comes in. And when you really can just enjoy your wellness routine and accept with grace when maybe you aren't in your routine. Because whatever you're doing is more in alignment with who you are.
And this works equally well in the, I'll call them air quotes of the episode, good times, as well as the harder times in life. So you're thinking, oh, well, it's easier to be my authentic self when things are swimming along. It works just as well when you're faced with those difficult situations.
Yeah.
Picture a time when you're at work, and I pick work for these situations, not because work's awful, but because work is a time where you are constrained in your choices.
Yeah, so true.
You usually have to work within certain prescribed parameters.
Yeah.
And those constraints can challenge living authentically you. But it still works. You still think, I know my boundaries. I know the edges of my authentic self-comfort zone, and I'm not willing to step outside of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to compromise and work with people, but only to a point where I don't get completely disconnected with my core values. Because when you do that, that's when things start to break down for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you can spiral out.
I really like that notion, Kit. It reminds me of when I was in a really tough 9 to 5. It actually was not 9 to 5. It was 7:30 to 6:30.
Right, because they're never 9 to 5.
They never are. And I had to be in the office every day. And this was for a few years. And I had to dress a certain way. And I had to act a certain way. And I had to sort of try and fit in with the culture. And a very like work hard, play hard, but be here to show face and act a certain way. And I could start to feel that my body would signal to me, this is not in alignment with you. This is not who you are. You're forcing something. And towards the end of that journey, I began to say, fuck it. I began to start to live in alignment with myself within those parameters, right? I'd still show up when I needed to, but I would maybe use my lunch break to go do yoga, or I would maybe leave at a time when I was done with work, even if it looked a certain way, even if it looked bad. I said, well, I'm done for the day, and started to realize I got to be true to myself, and eventually, close that chapter, ended that journey. And all my coworkers were so loving and amazing and supported me, and were not surprised at all with where my journey took me. And we're like, that makes total sense for you, and we support you. And that was really gratifying.
Which is exactly what Brene Brown said at the end of that clip we played. When you are living outside your authentic self, it is not sustainable.
No. Your body, I think, will be the first thing to let you know. Your stress levels will be through the roof. Mm-hmm. Your anxiety will be through the roof. You'll start to experience physical symptoms of that stress, of not living authentically towards you. And so pay attention to your body.
That's when you need to listen to yourself.
Yeah.
And start making changes, which, as we said before,
it's hard.
It's so hard to do.
Yeah.
It's scary, but start with something.
Baby changes.
Don't let it go until it gets too big and it manifests in really large ways where you actually start getting physically ill. Mm-hmm. If you're saying, shh, body, be quiet, later, you can get by for a time.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away. You're just pushing it to the side until it gets strong enough to push back.
Yes.
And then you're going to be sorry.
Yeah. Then you're going to be sorry. Always find that person for support during these times of change or during these transition times, which really I find to be the hardest times of transition. Find a coach, find a friend, a confidant to help encourage you to make those baby steps, those baby changes that will lead to sustainable change and to ultimately authenticity.
This is also where journaling is such an effective tool, and it doesn't have to be written down. Talk it out. As opposed to think it out, I mean really talk it out, even if you're in your car by yourself or in a room by yourself. It's great if you have a human sounding board who can listen. But if you don't, or you don't feel ready speaking it out loud, you'd be surprised at the direction you'll go with things as you push yourself to keep going, even when it feels uncomfortable and you're like, oh, I don't want to deal right now. I just want to think about something else. If you keep yourself present in that uncomfortable
push through it
period. Yes, exactly. You push through and keep talking out loud or writing it down. Within you are your answers. You know deep inside. You just have to figure it out.
You might need an ear.
Sometimes it can help to have another person make suggestions for you, but nobody can make your decisions for you.
Nobody ultimately is going to make that decision. It's going to be up to you.
The good news is you are fully capable. It's there. It's in you. Just find it.
Stick those affirmations on your mirror and get to work.
Speaking of, I've been doing, I do not chase, I attract.
What belongs to me
will simply find me. Every day since, oh my gosh, when was that episode? Probably like 5 weeks ago now. I've been doing that mantra every single day, and my husband is even doing it now too.
Shout out to Doug. Great job. He's been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
He's shared with us different situations that he's gone through where the mantra has been seeping into his life in positive ways.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Personal authenticity. I like what you said earlier, Kit, about the fact that there are different sides to us. There are different versions of us, and that's okay. They can coexist. If you want to hear more about that, we have an episode 23. We released it August 27, 2020, Cognitive Dissonance. Check that out if you want to learn more when you're done listening to this episode or when you have time. Different parts of us can coexist at the same time. You can still have a great time, go out, drink alcohol, and be a yogi or be a meditator.
Yes.
You do not have to sacrifice certain parts of yourself as you're on your growth journey, which, hint, hint, is a lifelong journey.
Fun girls' night out you is still authentically you, right alongside same weekend yoga you who takes a walk in the woods afterward.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a contradiction.
No.
That's living your whole wellness wheel.
Holistic, baby. Holistic. Mm-hmm. Looking at the whole picture and all the different sides of you. I think the thing to watch out for, which is leading an unauthentic life, if you notice yourself betraying yourself. So self-betrayal. And that honestly can be observed by you if you look into, if it's like a seesaw and you're feeling really unbalanced in some area of your life. We've posted the wellness wheel to our website. Check that out. You can print it out, fill it in, draw your own in your journal, and just observe different parts of your life. If something feels particularly out of balance, that's where you can notice if you're tipping the scale towards self-betrayal, which is inauthentic living.
You can use that wellness wheel as a self-rating scale, as a means of checking in 1 to 10 per category. How do you think you're doing right now? Use that as a self-diagnostic tool to understand which areas of the wellness wheel you might need to focus a little more time and energy on right now.
What's cool is Brene Brown actually said this in the audio clip that we played. True belonging never asks us to betray ourselves. So also pay attention to that in your social circles or your activities, just paying attention to, is this going against my core values or is this in alignment?
You'll know because your body will send you signals.
Yes. So crank up True to Myself by Ziggy Marley and start to get playful. Think deeply, reflect about what your interests are, what you like to do, what makes you light up inside, what your values are, what feels good, and surround yourself with the people that vibe with you on the same frequency, that love you for you and totally accept you. Pay attention to your body to really understand if you are living authentically to yourself.
Thank you so much for joining us again this week. Peace, love, and light.
Peace, love, and light.
The Soulful of Wellness hosts are certified health and wellness coaches. This podcast is intended to inform and entertain listeners on their wellness journey. This podcast is meant to enhance, not replace, listeners' care from doctors, therapists, or other medical providers. Soulful.